Hi, my name is Sarah Garvey, and I am a PhD candidate in the Hutura Lab in the Earth and Environment Department here at BU, and I'm also an urban trainee. I completed my urban internship this summer working with Dr. Danielle Perry at the Mass Audubon on a project called Preparing for Climate Change, Climate Adaptation for Vulnerable Communities and Natural Environments. So the Mass Audubon is a nature conservation nonprofit that protects more than 40,000 acres of land throughout Massachusetts. And they also do a lot of education work, and they also conduct climate adaptation research, which is where my internship fits in. So with Mass Audubon and Dr. Perry, I was looking at saltwater marsh habitat in the mouth of the Merrimack River. These marshes are not only beautiful, but because they exist at the intersection of land and sea, they also provide crucial ecosystem services like storm protection and flood mitigation. So when towns like Newburyport, Massachusetts, and others along the Merrimack are trying to prepare for future climate change and weather events, the health of these kinds of habitats is really important. However, there's also a lot of human activity near these marshes, and with that human activity comes nutrient loading through things like wastewater treatment plants and combined sewer overflow events. And excess nutrients can drive habitat degradation and loss, meaning that nutrient loading could cause these areas to become less resilient to storm events and rising sea levels over time. So this image here is of the Newburyport wastewater treatment plant, and it is one of many potential sources of nutrient loading into this body of water. So what we're trying to do is working to determine how this nutrient loading is affecting marsh degradation in the mouth of the Merrimack. So one of the things that I did for Mass Audubon was generate maps of potential sources of excess nutrients in the Merrimack River. So that means mapping out things like wastewater treatment plants, combined sewer outfalls, and permitted nutrient discharge sites. And these maps that I generated are being used to guide and develop a sampling regime along the Merrimack River to really determine the role that's played by these nutrient point sources. And this nutrient sampling fieldwork is currently underway and wrapping up at the end of the season. So please do wish them luck. But along with this work, nutrient mapping, I also helped assist in data analysis for a longer term data set. The Mass Audubon Salt Marsh Science Project collaborates with local schools to lay out transects, like you see here in this image on the left, through different marsh areas, some of which have experienced tidal restrictions and some of which have not. And then school groups can go out with the help of Mass Audubon into the marsh and map out what kinds of vegetation they see. Because plants like Phragmites and salt marsh hay can act as indicator species of marsh health and degradation. So using these plant cover data through time, because there's many years of data, we're able to ask questions about how tidal restrictions affect marsh degradation over time. So I don't have a pretty visual product to show you all associated with this, but I wrote a bunch of code for Mass Audubon that they will be able to use to continue analyzing this data as they continue to collect it into the future. The preliminary results indicate that tidal restrictions do have an effect on marsh health, but the results are highly heterogeneous and they differ from site to site. But it's my hope that with these products and tools that I was able to develop with Dr. Perry, that the Mass Audubon will be able to continue to make meaningful progress toward maintaining these critical habitats and toward collaborating with local Massachusetts towns toward a more resilient future. This internship was really different than the work that I do for my research at BU, and it was great to learn from people outside of academia while still using my specific skill set to help advance their sustainability goals. And with that, I will just say thank you so much for listening.